Tim, thanks very much for speaking to us. I guess the first question we want to talk about in terms of bivocational ministry is how much did your plan match up with reality once you got on the ground?
Sure, Mark. Thanks. The idea for me wasn't something that I'd thought about for too long before coming to Auburn. When I was at Bible college, it wasn't something that I expected in the future for ministry for me. It wasn't something that we were looking for or planning particularly. But when the opportunity at Auburn came up, it seemed to be an important part of the puzzle. It just seemed to fit really well. There wasn't a whole lot of money around in the church. They weren't able to pay for a minister full-time. So just at that practical level, it seemed to make sense. As well, I was aware that I was unlike most people in Auburn. I wanted to get to know people in the community, people in the area, people that we were hoping to reach with the gospel. So again, at that level, it seemed to make sense to do a bit of vocational work on the side as a way of me getting to know the community. So tick that box. There were a couple of other reasons as well that I thought it could be really helpful, just as a way of having opportunities to share the gospel with workmates, colleagues. At that level, I thought it would be really good. So yeah, as I said, not something that I'd planned to do, but when this particular opportunity opened up, and I had everything out on the table and was trying to think about how to commence this ministry, a bivocational model seemed to fit really well. So I guess I was learning as I went along. I dived in, that's what I did, and figured it out as I went along.
So what was the most difficult barrier to overcome, particularly with bivocational ministry?
Yeah, the challenge there is just, I guess, the pressure on time. That's the big one. I'd love that extra day to be doing other things and to be working on the ministry here. And so there's certainly been times where I felt that as a tension. I feel a bit time poor, I guess, as a senior minister leading a complex ministry here and yet working a day a week in another vocation as a GP. I've certainly felt that at times. And I think that's the great challenge. That's the great challenge. Time. And I'd love to pour more time into the ministry here. But having said that, what I've come to see is that day a week is a precious day in terms of the ministry here. A really precious day in terms of me continuing to learn about the community, to understand them, to engage with them. All of which I think helps my leadership of this mission. It helps me to have a growing love for the people of this area as I work with them and serve them as a doctor. And I think that flows into my ministry. I really do have a deep love for the people here and a deep desire for them to know Jesus. So it's really wonderful to be out and about in the community as a GP a day a week. So that's what's helped me. Yes, there's a time pressure and a tension that comes with that, but I try to not look at that negatively. I just try to see the whole picture together as a part of my service of Jesus here in this community.
Now, you didn't actually have anybody to copy off, as you say, you were making it up a bit as you go along. Somebody else could look at you. If you had to encourage them with one particular thing or a couple of things to look at, what would you say for them to do?
I'd be really encouraging, and I'd encourage someone to think seriously about it, to look at their particular context and look at the advantages and disadvantages of doing something like that, but certainly to seriously consider it and to see whether it might be a decision that they could make. Not just at the practical level of providing funding, although that's obviously an important part of it, but not just at that level, also at the level of engaging with the community, getting to know the community, serving the community. And I guess as well, I think it also helps as we're trying to encourage our congregation to shine as light in the world and to evangelise in the workplace. If we as pastors are in the thick of it, doing it ourselves or giving it a crack ourselves, I think again that really helps in our leadership and preaching. So I'd be really encouraging. I'd strongly encourage somebody to consider it. I've been very blessed to be involved in a vocation that gives me a lot of contact with people. I think that's been one of the great things about it here. I would only have done it if I could do it in the community where I was engaged in ministry. I wouldn't do it if I was a GP in the centre of Sydney. That wasn't a part of it for me. I wanted to be right in the middle of Auburn, and that opportunity opened up in God's goodness. So I think that's important, to be working in the local community that you're trying to reach. Yes, I think the greater worth isn't just in the financial support to the ministry, but also in the community engagement and gospel opportunities that can open up through that work. So I would suggest that is the ideal. And again, I mean, there's different contexts and different reasons why somebody would make a different decision. but certainly for me, I think if I couldn't do what I was doing in Auburn, I wouldn't look at doing it. I'd look at other options to raise those funds.